Hey guys, Dr. Cardinal. As I promised, we have our special guest, Coach Kai. Coach Kai just got back from Texas.
Yeah.
That was where your meet was.
San Antonio.
He finished qualifying for the American Open Finals. I'll let him tell you a bit about that real quick, kind of what he hit. So you did a 120 kilo snatch.
Yep, 120, 264 snatch, and then 147, 323 clean and jerk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Coach Kai is one of the coaches here at CrossFit BYB. He competes in weightlifting and CrossFit. What are your best weightlifting numbers just on their own?
On their own, so I've hit a 280 snatch before, and then I've hit a 330 clean and jerk.
And you cleaned 356.
Clean 356.
What'd you weigh when you were doing
Oh,
those?
I was probably like 190.
190?
Yeah, 195.
And then your deadlift's right around 500 right now?
I've hit a 475 before.
475.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty easy 475. I've seen it. He's got 500 in him. So just so you guys know, Coach Kai knows what he's talking about when it comes to weightlifting and when it comes to deadlifting. And then I myself competed in weightlifting for 9 years. I started training 21 years ago, and I used to coach some powerlifting. So we just wanted to kind of talk about some errors that we see from the coaching perspective and also from my perspective as a chiropractor, why these errors lead to people coming into my office. You see a lot of people that they're afraid of deadlifting, they're afraid of doing a snatch or a clean and jerk because it ends up hurting their back. And we want to try and give some tips today on how to fix that. And one of those things is we're going to talk about the bar position when you start your lift. So if you look at a weightlifting shoe, it's actually kind of nice because you have on the Romalio, you have multiple straps and logos. And so in a weightlifting movement, a snatch or a clean and jerk, the bar should be in the middle to front third of the foot, and the weight distribution should be even throughout the foot. Whereas when you see people doing a deadlift, they're typically in a flat shoe, and then the weight is an inch off their shin to right against their shin. So Kai is going to graciously demonstrate those starting positions for us today, and then kind of talk about some corrective ways to get into those if you're having problems with it. So I'm going to go ahead and have Kai show us, first of all, kind of how you can set up for a snatch. So go ahead, Kai.
Feet shoulder width apart. You can have your toes pointed forward or you can angle them out. That's how I like to angle mine out just a little bit. Then I'm going to get a nice even grip, just depending on arm length, outside the second ring or depending on your bar, you have 2 rings or 1 ring. So just outside, get my hook grip. Then just like Mike said, I'm setting up the bar between halfway of my shoelaces or between my toe. Then I'm going to drop my butt, squeezing my shoulder blades together and down. And then I'm sitting in this position for the start position.
And so when Kai's holding this position, his back's pretty neutral and set. So then pull it from the ground to your knees. And you see, as he does that, his quads are firing and his back angle is staying the same. Whereas go ahead and set it down and show kind of the common mistake you see when people have the bar too close to their shins. So when the bar is too close to the shins, you see his hips rise up first. There you go, thank you. His hips come up first, and this puts all the weight right here in the lumbar spine. So then when he goes to finish his second pull, that creates a ton of movement in this area, and that torque, that shear force, can often lead to soft tissue injuries or even disc injuries. So go ahead and show it properly. You see how much safer that is on the back, so much less movement, all the weight's coming from the quads. And so that position will be very similar between a snatch and a clean jerk. So go ahead and show it, the clean and jerk setup.
So same thing, feet shoulder width apart, toes pointed forward on this one. I like to set my thumb to the end of the knurling, and then that's how I set my grip up, right there. Then knuckles pointed down, elbows back, shoulder blades together and down again. And we're gonna sit in kind of like the same position as we just did in our snatch, just with our arms closer together.
And so one thing with the clean and jerk, it's okay to have a slightly higher hip, just because you don't have the same width for your knees to spread, but go ahead and lift it to this power position. You see how the back angle still stays relatively neutral. So go ahead, Kai, set that down and get your shoes off. And so when you see people that learn how to do snatches and clean and jerks first, a lot of times they get so used to that bar being forward that when they go to deadlift, they automatically set up in that comfortable position with the low hips and they try and use their legs off the ground. But the deadlift is a primary hip hinge movement where the hamstrings are highly engaged. So first things first, you don't want to be doing a deadlift or a powerlifting movement in weightlifting shoes. So you see how Kai is now barefoot. So a flat shoe versus a weightlifting style shoe, which has a heel, removes the propensity to have a quad dominant movement. So go ahead and set up for a deadlift here, Kai, properly. And so you're going to bring the bar into about an inch away from the shins or right against the shins. You're going to take the slack out of the bar at the quads, and then once the hamstrings engage, your hip should not change. So go ahead. And you see his hip angle stays relatively the same once the bar engages from off the ground. Now go ahead and do it like it's a clean. You see, so the bar path is not straight, it's a bit herky-jerky, and then the issue people have is at a heavy weight, their quads aren't strong enough to push it from the ground, so then they end up doing almost an RDL style deadlift where it floats away from the shins and that gets them in trouble. So one of the cues you can use for that is go ahead and grab the bar, Kai, and now rotate your elbows backwards towards me. That's going to engage the lat, so then when he sets his hips, that naturally pulls the bar into him, and with his elbows squeezing back, that'll keep the bar close to the body and against the shins. It'll also keep the back angle more neutral, protecting his spine. Go ahead. Exactly. And then if that doesn't work, one of the things you can do is you can take a light band and just wrap it around the bar here, and then go ahead, Kai, and grab onto that. And so with light weight, when he pulls, I'm going to pull it against him. That forces him to pull it back towards his body, thereby allowing his body to sit against his heels more and engage his lats. Cool. Any tips you have on that, Kai?
One thing I do notice in the start position, you guys a lot of people get in good start positions, but when they get to going, they start to jerk the weight off the ground. And when you have a lot of weight, that's going to force your upper back to bend, and then you round up. Mm-hmm. And so jerking the weight will cause you to get out of position, and then will lead to injuries and just improper form. Mm-hmm. is what I usually see when I coach the deadlift.
So one way to eliminate that jerk in the weight, when you set up on the bar, so lean back into your heels, almost like you're trying to sit, until you feel like your toes are going to come off the ground, and then engage. That's going to pull the bar to the point where it's starting to get light on the ground. Your hamstrings will feel the tension, and then it'll pop off. So in a deadlift, the only time you really use your quads as a primary mover is to take the slack out of the bar, which is that leaning back motion. Once the slack's out of the bar, you feel it lighten up off the ground, then fire your glutes and hamstrings to hinge through, and that'll prevent that herky-jerky motion off the ground, which will get you out of position.
And then I see the same things on clean and jerk and snatch. Just jerking the bar off the ground in general is just a bad way to get you out of position, and that'll mess you up from the beginning.
How do you treat people with that? Like what do you tell them?
How do I do that? Is slow pulls. So get in your clean and jerk or your snatch position, and then I just have them pull the weight slowly, just like you're just doing a snatch. Mm-hmm. It's how I would have them do it, or how you're doing a clean. Just have them pull slowly and kind of get into that good position from the start, more legs, in a less jerky position.
And then with someone that repetitively deadlifts jerky off the ground, let's say you've tried lean back, you've tried a bend, then you teach them top down out of a rack. Mm-hmm. And so they do almost like a touch and go.
So if they're going top down, I have them just pick it up, lighter weight, and then they're just hinging at the hips from here. And then as soon as they pass their knees, they're dropping their butt and their hips till they get into their good start position. Mm-hmm. So you just go over a couple reps from there. It's a little easier if you go top down, just so you can teach the hip hinge, and then you can teach the leg drive too out of the deadlift.
Everybody's got a slightly different learning pattern, and everyone's got slightly different limb lengths. But from the top down, I like that exact same way, because gravity will teach you the most efficient pathway for your body. If you are slowly allowing your muscle groups and your hinging joints to unlock as weight pulls it down towards the ground, you're most likely going to find the best pathway for you, and you can train that pathway into your mind and into your neuromuscular connection by doing negative reps in that manner. So you can do a negative rep, let go, re-rack it, do a negative rep, and then do a normal rep, and you'll find oftentimes that technical flaw will be corrected because we've now patterned in the correct exercise and the correct motion. Okay, anything else?
Lastly, snatch and clean and jerk. So a lot of people, they like to bring the bar to their hips and slam it outwards.
Yes.
One thing I would say is not bar to hips, hips to bar, and sweep it up.
Mm-hmm.
So common mistake, they come out, bar path is off, so it's out more, and then they hit it with their hips, hitting it out. So if you can keep your bar path tight and keep it close to your body, and then bring your hips to the bar to where you sweep it up and get a good high pull, you'll find that the weight will be a whole lot lighter. Then you're like, holy smokes, did I just do that? And then technique-wise, it'll just be simpler and easier.
Yeah.
So just remember, bar to hip, hips to bar, not bar to hips. Just on that one.
And one thing that I find with that is when people push with their quads from the ground,
Yeah.
it naturally has a more vertical path than if they do an RDL.
Yep.
Because that then lets the bar float away from them. They swing it back in to try and overcorrect for it and balance it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I don't look as good as Kai doing this stuff, so I thought I'd bring in the guy that everyone wants to see,
I'm glad to help.
and hopefully
No
make
problem.
more in the future.
Yeah, no problem.